This is Steve Elliott, and I'm joined by Eric Odom for a Liberty Intel briefing on the Obama fiscal cliff.
Own it, yes.
Own it. He's trying to make, this is what this is about. He's trying to make us own this, Eric. Mm-hmm. And we're going to set the record straight. We're going to let him own this. And that kind of started, did it, just right now.
Yeah, and we really don't have to work too hard to let him own it because amazingly he wants to own it. That's the way it seems. If you watch what's happening today, it's definitely the big news of the day and of the week and probably of the month now going into December. Pelosi has been out having her press conference. Boehner had his press conference. Obama's on the campaign trail at a toy factory, I believe, trying to sell these tax hikes. And basically with his proposal that just came out, he is saying, I want tax hikes. I want to spend more money. I don't want a limit on what I can borrow to spend. And you're either going to go with me on this or we're going to go off the Obama fiscal cliff.
And it's really pretty amazing. There's pundits who are calling this an unserious proposal, $1.6 trillion in new taxes. Mm-hmm. Like you said, basically a blank slate to increase the debt ceiling. And then I love this one, a 1-year deferral on the sequester, which literally means in a year he gets to bring us back to the Obama fiscal cliff and push us off again.
Back us into a corner.
Even if Republicans and conservatives were to agree with this non-starter, he set it up that in a year, which is before any of the so-called cuts would even be discussed necessarily, we'd be back at fiscal cliff level 2 being pushed off again.
Yeah, it's this is crazy. I think it's all theatrics at this point, unfortunately, for Obama's side. Now there's still stuff that we can do, actions we can take as a movement, but on Obama's side, this is all theatrics. They know the end that they want, and the means to that end is justified because they want that end. This is what they believe. And the two options, as we lay it out on libertyintel.com, the two options are to go off the fiscal cliff in January, which would be a tax increase on everybody, especially small businesses and small business employers. And then there's going to be deep cuts to military, defense spending. And then he'll come back after that in January and say, okay, we can't have these tax hikes on the lower income brackets. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to help these. These are the folks that said I would help, and I'm going to help them with tax cuts. And the Republicans will have to go along with that. They'll have to say, okay, well, if this is what we're going to get, then let's go ahead and at least take these tax cuts. And there will probably be something like a debt ceiling hike and all the other things Obama wants involved in that. Republicans will have to do it. The second option is to fold and accept his unserious proposal now, which is, it's hard to determine which is worse, but it's going to be one of those two outcomes. And it's going to be ugly.
So we're either going to come to a Christmas Eve showdown where members of Congress, like we had 3 years ago with Obamacare, where members of Congress in the Senate, remember the Senate vote, the Christmas Eve Senate vote on Obamacare, where these guys, listen, here's what happens. Men and women in the Senate and Congress, they're facing family pressure to get out of town. They don't want to be there. They want to get out of town. The fiscal cliff is now 6-7 days away. We have to pass something, or Obama gets us to go over the cliff. You're saying after January 1st, and then he has to come back with the tax increases now technically implemented. Mm-hmm. So instead of now where he has to actually implement a tax increase, now he gets to come back and be the mighty savior and do a tax cut for whoever he wants to have a tax cut, while the increases are already basically set in stone. Maybe the defense spending cuts that he wants are set in stone. Mm-hmm. So now he's actually a hero.
Mm-hmm. Right. And he will have gotten his wish to basically tax everything and anyone else, other than the folks who really don't pay a whole lot of taxes, if any, right now.
Right. So there's no debt ceiling limitation. Basically, I think what did you call it? An infinite debt ceiling. It becomes an infinite debt ceiling, basically. Right. He also has the looming threat of the sequester, so bringing us back to the fiscal cliff to get more if he so chooses. Mm-hmm. And yet, what I think where if there's been a mistake made is this. It was what let's remember the Bush tax cuts.
Right.
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 No one even says it without saying the Bush tax cuts.
Right.
We don't even know what it means anymore. No, it's like because what they did in order to get that passed. Let's go back. In order to get that passed, the president and the Republicans agreed to set a time limit on the tax cuts. Okay, to not make a permanent law, but to make a 6-year law, whatever that years was. I think it was 6 or 8 years. To make that was it. So they became the Bush tax cuts. Well, this is the Obama fiscal cliff. And we need to say it. We need to say it every time we call talk radio, every time we write an email, every time we call Congress. We need to start just saying, no, this is not a fiscal cliff. This is the Obama fiscal
hikes. Really?
It's the Obama tax hikes, but it's the Obama fiscal. He's pushed us here, and it's the Obama tax hikes, which are the Obama fiscal cliff triggers the Obama tax hikes.
Right.
We need to start changing the language. The language is very, very important, and I think we often forget to fight these battles right in the area of language. If everyone starts calling this the Obama, because let's backtrack. He created this. Well, he had some willing partners, unfortunately, on the Republican side, right? He had some willing partners to create this crisis of January 1st, when we've had Tea Party conservatives and conservatives in general talking about this crisis for 30 years. And now we have the Obama fiscal cliff because of the dirty deal that was struck with the sequester and all these triggers which go into place. But this is the Obama fiscal cliff. You're saying it's even what he wanted.
Right. Yeah, and I think at the end of the story, especially on libertyintel.com, there's a post up about it. This clip will be on that website as well. But I think that, after realizing that those are two scenarios we have, you kind of have to sit here scratching your head going, well, where does this leave us as a movement, as an activist, or just as a concerned parent or an employer, an employee? One thing I think is really important for the long-term goals of our movement, the survival of our movement, the strength of our movement, is to make sure that the Republicans that do or have, pronounced their desire to carry the agenda for the liberty movement, make sure that they don't cave on this and vote for tax hikes. Mm-hmm. Because once that happens, then we've got a long, hard road ahead of us, because we'll have to now start primarying Republicans, and have a war there. Mm-hmm. And, the Democrats are already so far ahead with the strength of their party. Moving forward, we need principled folks to stand up and to have a principled background and proof that they're going to stand with us in the most difficult of times. So we've got to hold their feet to the fire. And I think, Grassfire is parent of Liberty Intel, libertynews.com. There's a lot of stuff going on with Grassfire. What's the petition we're running right now?
Yeah, basically it's no new taxes. We refuse. It's just basically drawing that line in the sand right now and saying, no, we reject the Obama tax increases that are coming to us, the 1.6 trillion, whatever billions it is. And we'll be delivering those petitions, Eric, next week. So it's real important if you're listening to this and you want a voice in this issue, right on the webpage here, click on that and sign the petition. We're going to be delivering those petitions. There's also mechanisms for sending faxes. We also have a great resource, Eric, on the Obama fiscal cliff, which Liberty News readers can access, which really explains kind of what they don't talk about, how this literally was Obama's intent and creation. Mm. And this is how the community organizers do things. They push you into crisis. They want crisis. Mm. This is how they live. So it explains a little of the history of that as well. So, we'll be delivering those petitions next week. And, this is the time, we're getting the sense, and we've been talking about this, that, you have to draw the lines quickly. Because if you don't draw the lines now, when do you draw the lines in the next 4 years?
Right.
So I think first, we've been talking about it. We have to draw the lines. But then, one thing we've talked about is that we're going to have to, and we need to as a movement, present solutions as well. Yes. Principled solutions. And that's coming too. But right now, I think we're all agreed. It's just like the principle now is, no, we refuse to accept that more taxes and more government is the solution, which is what we're being told.
And once parts of our base start accepting that, then we become very fractured.
Right. And
that's why this has got to be stopped. And I'll also say, anyone who's listening or watching this, Congressman Forbes, I believe it was yesterday, was on the Hannity program, and there were also some congressional staffers, and they were saying it is absolutely imperative that we hammer Boehner's office and other leadership positions, hammer them and let them know that there are many, many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, that are standing up and saying, you promised us, you told us this was going to happen, no new taxes, and that's exactly what the petition says. So please do. It does matter. They are telling us it matters. So you'll see the URL on the video. Otherwise, go to libertyintel.com. We'll make sure that's prominently available. Sign it and be a part of it.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Eric. Remember, it's the Obama fiscal cliff and the Obama tax increases. This is Steve Elliott for Eric Odom in this Liberty Intel briefing.